Triple H has been mostly great as the head of WWE Creative. Whether it's his booking decisions, his ability to focus on long-term storytelling, and for a while we were super happy with Triple H for his willingness to bring back former WWE superstars. And today we're going to be ranking all of the WWE superstars that Triple H has brought back since he became the head of creative. And spoiler alert, there's not that many that rank very high, but today we're going to be ranking them from Hall of Fame all the way down to trash. And I'm not going to be using like how famous the WWE superstar is. I'm purely going to be ranking them based on how they've been utilized since their return. That's it. All right, let's go ahead and get this show started. Let's start off with Tegan Knox. Tegan who? Did you forget that she got rehired? I wouldn't be surprised if you did, because she's done absolutely nothing since she's been rehired. This is a absolutely mind-boggling rehire for me. Not because I don't like Tegan Knox. I think she's fine. It's just that she was rehired to basically just be enhancement talent on shows like Main Event, but the WWE already had lots of female enhancement talents, so it was a little bizarre to bring her back just for the sake of doing that. So I mean, I don't see how I can put this anywhere aside from trash, because most people honestly forget that she's even back. Her list of accomplishments are nothing. There's nothing that she's done of memory, nothing in terms of booking, storytelling, accolades that really allow us to really gush and really express our gratitude for the return of Tegan Knox, because she's done nothing. She's been booked to do nothing. So kind of by default, she just goes into the trash category. Let's go ahead and grab Big Bronson Reed. And I think Big Bronson Reed has been booked fairly well. I think the only concern that I have with Bronson Reed is how in recent months he seems to only be able to feud with the likes of Nakamura and Ricochet. At least recently we've had some tastes with him and Tommaso Ciampa, but what I want to highlight is his absolutely fantastic performance at this year's Elimination Chamber. He was one of the highlights of that match for me, and he absolutely surprised me, and I think the majority of the WWE fans, with his ability to use himself as a wrecking ball within the Elimination Chamber. I think he did a fantastic job. I think the only problem with him is that there's not really any strong direction as to where they want to take him, at the very least as of the making of this video. Is he going to be a henchman to The Miz? Is he just going to be this bruiser that takes out smaller people? I don't know. It's just this, like, he's kind of at this fork in the road when they don't seem to know exactly where to take him. But for the most part, I'd say Bronson Reed's been good. So yeah, I'll put him in the good category. Next up, we have Chelsea Green. And I promise to never do that again. I'm so sorry that you had to hear that. But Chelsea Green is a tale of two halves. I think she started off rather weak within the WWE, and I was originally very upset with how they were using her, because I know that she is both a fantastic in-ring performer, but also she's just an amazing character actress. She's so wonderful. All her time in Impact and in the Indies, if they just allowed her to shine even like 5% of what she was doing in Impact and the Indies, she would be shining through in the WWE. They weren't allowing her to do that in the early beginnings, but now they have. And I think the world is starting to see just how good Chelsea Green truly, genuinely is. The fact that she was able to take a tag team that was made out of nowhere with Sonya Deville, a tag team that wasn't planned, because the plan was supposed to be Chelsea Green and Carmella, and she was able to get that act over with like the Karens and the complainers, and turn herself into one of the few Triple H rehires that has actually won gold. I think we need to absolutely praise Chelsea Green's work for that. From her appearance in the Royal Rumble all the way to today, I'm going to put Chelsea Green in great. Next up, we have Dakota Kai. And I think Dakota Kai is just a victim of injuries. I think that's really the only thing that's really hindered her, because I think that she's been in some really great spots. It's too bad that this injury is keeping her away from the storyline that they're telling between Io Sky and Bayley, because her being a third member of that storyline would be really interesting interesting and really entertaining. Again, purely because of injuries, she hasn't really gotten the opportunities that some other people within that stable have already gotten. But I think for the most part, her return has been great. I think it's been fantastic. I would love to see her, within the next year or two, be a single star and maybe have that same edge and character that she had in the latter half of her NXT Black and Gold days. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Dakota Kai into the good category. Next up, we have Johnny Gargano, and kind of similar to Dakota Kai, I think he's just been a little bit unlucky. I think his return initially was met with a lot of praise because it looked like they were immediately going to be putting him in a program with Austin Theory, a program that never really turned into anything aside from just a couple of altercations here or there. I think the main goal of Triple H is to restart DIY. And this has been a problem because whenever Johnny Gargano's available, Tommaso Ciampa has been hurt. Whenever Tommaso Ciampa's available, Johnny Gargano is hurt. It seems like right now is the time when they're both finally back together and they're both finally on the main roster, not hurt. So I could see them utilizing him in a DIY program in the coming future. And if that is the case, oof, my God, that can be so good. I'm just picturing some of the amazing matches that they could have on the main roster. Just think of them versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Alpha Academy. Oof. Either way, I digress. It's kind of unfair because like they haven't. I don't think that they've utilized him in the way that they have intended to utilize him. Is what I'm trying to say. But I don't think that he's been meh. I don't think that he's been trash. I think he's been good, and I think he has an opportunity to be great very, very soon. I mean, let's go ahead and grab his better half. We have Candice LeRae, and better half is maybe just a term of endearment because when it comes to these rankings, she's his worst half because they've done nothing with Candice LeRae either. I just don't think that they have a lot of vision for what to do with Candice LeRae. This is another, it was nice to see her back, but in hindsight, it's been a bit of a baffling rehire similar to Tegan Knox. Like, what are you doing with her? I think it's kind of neat that they've got her almost maybe reviving the way with Indy Hartwell, but even then they're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like it's tough to say what their overall plans are with Candice LeRae. So Candice LeRae just goes into the meh category for me. They've not really let her cook and showcase her in-ring abilities, and they've also not allowed her to really have any meaningful storylines that can allow her to really sink her teeth into in terms of character work. So she goes into meh. Let's go ahead and grab Emma, and I'm starting to see a trend here. Very confusing rehires, which were exciting at first, and then they just do nothing with. And Emma falls into that category as well, almost identical to Tegan Knox. I'm not gonna lie, it took me like an entire month after she was rehired to realize that she was rehired, because even from day one of being rehired back into the WWE, like there was no red carpet rolled out for her. She was immediately brought back to be enhancement talent again on shows like Main Event, to be a valet for Madcap Moss or Riddick Moss, whatever you want to call him. She's done nothing. Again, nothing of note, nothing of worth. Her character hasn't evolved, hasn't changed, hasn't gotten interesting. It was the same thing that she was doing in the WWE right before she was fired either way. And I do believe that that's a shame because we've seen what she's capable of doing outside of the WWE, and they don't let her do those things. So she falls in the same place as Tegan Knox. She goes into the trash bin. Next up, we have big Braun Strowman, who, dude, this is like becoming a norm in this. It's like injuries halted this man's momentum. He was helping revitalize and really revolutionize the tag team division in a time where it needed some padding because the Usos were basically holding the tag team division hostage, when pretty much only involving the tag titles in bloodline related things. And then in came Ricochet, in came Braun Strowman, and really helped elevate the rest of the tag team division in a world where the tag team titles were not a viable choice or a viable prize to actually go after because they just simply probably weren't allowed, and it wouldn't have made storyline sense. It's very humbling to see Braun Strowman go from being a main event talent and then seeing him continue to have have the same, at least in my eyes, from a fan that's watching at home, still had the same level of passion, even though he's not in that main event scene. So I have to respect Strowman for taking that role in the tag team division and really molding it and turning it into his own and making it something fun and something exciting. I think at the very least we can all say that. Again, major injury unfortunately derailed his momentum within the tag team division. But what he was doing, seriously, what he was doing in the tag team division prior to this unfortunate injury, I think was great. Again, it helped. He's really helped showcase and help elevate other tag teams that were having matches with him. That WrestleMania showcase match was borderline a 5-star match, and it was only 9 minutes. It was absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to put Braun Strowman into the great category. Next up, let's go ahead and grab Dexter Lumis. And I've used this term before, and I use it a lot in my ranking videos, but it's a tale of two halves. But usually when I say it's a tale of two halves, the first half is the good one, and the first half is the bad one, and then the second half they turn it around and make it a good one. I think it's been the opposite way for Dexter Lumis, because he came into Monday Night Raw in the main roster with an immediate storyline that made him incredibly interesting, where he was just basically coming out from the fans, kidnapping people, being just this absolute menace to society. He was getting a ton of screen time, and he was being put in the forefront of some very prominent storylines in the WWE. But that was only really in the first half of his return. What has he been doing since? I couldn't tell you. Because they don't showcase him on the main roster anymore. He's taken this back seat alongside most of the rest of the way, like Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. So he's kind of gone from being in the forefront of stories to the background of the background. Like, he's just nowhere to be seen. Still, that first half, it was great. The way they brought him back was fantastic. It was exactly how you use somebody like Dexter Lumis. I just don't think that they have a direction for him right now. And maybe we are waiting for the way and waiting for Ciampa and Gargano to get together. Maybe that's when they pull out Dexter Lumis again. But again, that first half was a fantastic way to use Dexter Lumis. So Dexter Lumis, at least that first half, saves him and keeps him into the good category. Next up, we have Karrion Kross. And this one's a tough one to grade. It is because if you look at just the numbers, if you look at the people he's beaten, you'd think he's a beast. Oh my God, he's vying for the world title. He's in the main event scene. He's beaten the likes of Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio. Like, he has some very prominent wins under his belt, and yet it still doesn't feel right. Does anybody else agree that there's just something missing with what they're trying to do with Karrion Kross? I can't pinpoint it. I can't pinpoint what it is. I don't think that his matches have been as good as they can be either. And maybe that's why those wins over these major talents that I recently highlighted don't really hit as deep as they should. Victories over the likes of Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio, and AJ Styles should be something worth talking about and something worth celebrating, and yet somehow it isn't. And I just don't know exactly what's missing. I think perhaps it's just a lack of storytelling. There is just no story. It's just, oh, here's my tarot card. I'm now going after Nakamura. And then he'll have a 1 week and a half feud with Nakamura. Now I'm going after AJ Styles. And then there's nothing of substance that allows for real, proper, long-term storytelling. It seems like it's just week by week storytelling with Karrion Kross. But again, those wins are huge. I really think that he needs something to help demonstrate that he really is a main event presence, because he's a main event presence. That's for damn sure. I don't know what's missing. Let me know in the comments what the hell is missing with Karrion Kross. Okay, because I don't think he's in trash. I don't even think he's in meh. Again, I don't think that victories over people like that put you into the meh category. I'm gonna put him in good, but my body is telling me trash, but I'm gonna keep it in good. But you know what I don't know. I'm at a bit of a loss for words for this one. I said at the beginning, I don't really know what to say about this because it's a weird situation with Karrion Kross. Next up, we have Michin and the Good Brothers. They were brought back in separate times, so I did separate them. We'll start with Michin. Michin, I mean, she is in a better position than she was before she left the WWE, so we can see that. She's not reckoning, part of Retribution. Was she reckoning? I don't know. Who cares? Because that entire faction was god-awful. But she is one of the few in these returns that has been given a stepping stone. You know, she's been given the opportunity to showcase herself more. She is surrounded by a Hall of Famer in AJ Styles, and she's all, and the Good Brothers are also there. They are not Hall of Famers. We can talk about that here in just a second. But she is in a better position now than she was when she left the WWE. That's good. That in itself is good. But this position that she's in is nothing more than, I'm just here because AJ Styles is here. She's an auxiliary piece to AJ Styles. She doesn't bring her own character to the group. At least I don't believe so. I think she brings an interesting dynamic in terms of allowing for intergender feuds, but she doesn't really, at least now, as of the making of this video, she hasn't really brought out a character and a different character dynamic to the OC. So I'll put Michin in, or Mia Yim, whatever you want to call her, into the good category, mostly because she's in a better spot than she was when she left. Next up, we have the Good Brothers, and I thought they were fired again. I'm gonna be honest, they went through a long stretch of time where they just weren't appearing on television. I think it had to do with AJ Styles' ankle surgery. They disappeared once AJ Styles came back, then they came back. If that doesn't show you that at least on the main roster, that they are borderline useless without AJ Styles, I don't know what else does, because it's very clear that they have no interest in using the Good Brothers unless AJ Styles is involved. And I shouldn't have called them useless. I think that was very rude. I meant useless in the eyes of the WWE. I do not think that the Good Brothers are useless. I think that they are a world-class tag team when they are allowed to be a world-class tag team. But as of right now, they are just world-class henchmen to AJ Styles. I really don't see the OC as a faction. I see the OC as AJ Styles and friends. That's it. They really, neither the Good Brothers nor Michin add a dynamic to make that an interesting faction, in a similar way that different members of the Judgment Day didn't bring different character dynamics to the group. So the Good Brothers go into the meh category, honestly. And last but certainly not least, probably the biggest wasted potential in all of Triple H's returns, probably the most expensive of all of these returns too, is Bray Wyatt, who came back with all of the glitz, all of the glamour, an amazing fan reception, a great promo when he came back, really demonstrating the human side of him, and it was very, very emotional, and it got us very, very excited for this trajectory that Bray Wyatt was going in. And then that's it. And then he was entered into a program with LA Knight, where LA Knight came out looking like the star and Bray Wyatt came out looking like the dunce. Honestly, that's how I see this Mountain Dew match and how that played out. All of the Uncle Howdy stuff isn't working. It's people want to be interested in Bray Wyatt, and people, I think to some degree with this Uncle Howdy stuff, were pretending to be interested in what was happening because the return was so good and because they know Bray Wyatt is so fantastic. I think a lot of people were pretending to like what they were seeing. And there's a lot of mediocrity apologists on the internet when it comes to Bray Wyatt. You cannot accept mediocrity with Bray Wyatt. You need to absolutely demand exceptional world-class work from somebody like Bray Wyatt. Mediocrity should not be justified with Bray Wyatt. You should not be apologizing on behalf of Bray Wyatt. He has been an absolute flop since returning, then disappeared with this mystery injury. Again, I don't want to comment on that because I don't know what that injury is, but a lot of reports say that it's kind of bullshit. He shouldn't have been out this long. I'm putting him into the trash category, and I know that's going to cause a lot of debate. It's going to spark some conversation. It's going to maybe spark some people to want to unsubscribe from this channel, but really look deeply at what he's done in his return. And the answer is waste a lot of money and waste a lot of time. At least he helped LA Knight get over. Yeah, get out of here.